to receive dose 2 of the study drug, you will need to complete the Visit 2 Dose 2 Page 3 drug form in eSOCDAT. You will need to confirm with your site PI if the participant is eligible to receive the next infusion of the study drug. Please note that this second infusion occurs 18 to 24 hours after the first dose of study drug is given. Because of this short time window, it is important to communicate with the study team and your research pharmacy to schedule the second dose of study drug between that 18 and 24-hour window. After you confirm with your site PI that the participant is eligible to receive the next infusion, you will select yes or no. You will then enter the following information: was abatacept or placebo administered, yes or no, the date and time of preparation reported, the study drug administration date, the start time of administration, the stop time, and if the infusion was interrupted, and the total amount infused. You do not need to fill out questions 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, and 2.6 until after the study drug was infused. However, you do need to complete number 1 in order for the study participant to receive the second dose. If any adverse events occur during the second infusion, you can click on the adverse event form hyperlink below. You will then follow up and respond to if any changes have been made to the patient's medications of interest, which have not already been reported here in the EDC. Please make sure to review the participant's chart for any updated medications of interest. You will then enter the planned date for the next visit. Please note that Visit 2 must occur within 18 to 24 hours post-administration of Dose 1. Your site PI must sign off on Visit 1 for you to be able to access Visit 2. Visit 2 must occur 18 to 24 hours after Visit 1. In Visit 2, the study participant will receive Dose 2 of the study drug. Here you will enter, if Visit 1 was performed, you'll enter the visit date, and if the study treatment has been administered. If you select yes, the study drug administration date will populate. The start time and stop time should be recorded. And again, if the infusion was interrupted for any reason, and the total amount infused. Here you can also report if there was an adverse event related that occurred during this study visit. You will also enter information if it's related to the study drug infusion or not. The final form within Visit 2 is the same page that you saw in Visit 1, which is study monitoring, which includes information on medications of interest and the next visit date. Please hit submit, and your site investigator will need to sign off on Visit 2 prior to the study participant moving on to Visit 3. Visit 3 will occur 5 days post first infusion of the study drug. Here you will record the date that the visit was performed. And please note, Visit 3 does not include a study drug infusion. This visit is research sample collection only. Here, research lab sample 1, 2, and 3 will be collected. The second page within Visit 3 is regarding the 12-lead ECG that will also be collected at Visit 3. Please select yes or no. If you select yes, you will need to include the date performed and upload the de-identified PDF here at the paperclip symbol on the EDC form. Please hit submit to move on to the next page. The third page in Visit C in Visit 3 includes information on the lab test results for the safety labs. Here you will enter information on the following parameters. Please note you will also need to include the date and time of the blood sample collection. After you review each one of the fields for accuracy, you will hit Submit at the bottom of the page and move on to the research sample collection form. Here you will enter if the research blood draw was done, and if no for any reason, please describe why the research samples were not collected. Please be sure to enter question number 3, the planned date for next visit, which will schedule your visit 4, dose 3 for your study participant. This field is mandatory in order to move on to the visit 4, dose 3 forms within eSOCDAT. This planned visit for next date is also important because it will trigger a reminder email for your study team 2 days prior to the visit for dose 3 infusion. This email reminder will confirm the date of the visit for dose 3 for your study participant, and at this time, you should contact your study team, including your site PI and your research pharmacy team, in order to schedule the third infusion of study drug. Prior to the dose 3 study drug administration, you will have confirmed with your study team, including your research pharmacy team, that the participant is due for the third dose on X date, and you will confirm the eligibility with your site PI. In eSOCDAT, you'll need to go to page 5 within the Visit 4 forms and confirm question number 1 if the participant is eligible to receive the next infusion. This question must be answered prior to the third dose of study drug being administered. After the third dose is administered, you will then go on to question number 2 and complete the remainder of the questions on this form. Be sure to submit after each time you go into this form and complete question 1 and question 2 to save your answers. If you select yes for question 2, the drop-down of the following questions will populate. You will enter the date and time of preparation reported on the bag and bottle that was administered to the participant. You will then enter the study drug administration date, the time of administration, the stop time of administration, and if the infusion was interrupted, and the total amount infused. If any adverse events occur during this study visit, you will report them via the blue hyperlink below. I am now going to discuss how to complete the rest of the forms for the Visit 4 Dose 3 study visit. In order to confirm the eligibility, I recommend completing the first 3 forms prior to infusion of the third. Please be sure to enter this information accurately, as the ATRIUM, CCC, and DCC will be sure to monitor the receipt of the research sample collection from your site. The final form within Visit 3 is the study monitoring form, which again reviews medications of interest, and if any changes have been made, you'll need to say yes, and then select the medications of interest form here at the blue hyperlink. You'll then enter the planned date for the next visit. Visit 4 will occur 14 days plus or minus 2 days after the first infusion of study drug. Within this visit, there are 6 forms that will be completed. The first page, you'll record if the visit was performed, the visit date, and if the study drug will be administered during this visit. dose 3 is required to be administered during visit 4. The second page within visit 4 is the vital sign page, which you've seen in the previous visits. Here you'll record the date that they were performed, and you'll include the weight, blood pressure, respiratory rate, heart rate, temperature, oxygen saturation, and oxygen supplementation. Once you confirmed that the fields are correct, you'll hit Submit at the bottom of the page. Prior to study drug administration, you'll record the safety labs. On this form, you will select yes or no if the labs were performed, and you'll select the date and time of the blood sample. Here you'll enter the value and the unit. For white blood cell count, hemoglobin, absolute neutrophil count, platelet count, liver function tests, metabolic and renal function parameters. Once you confirmed that these tests are accurate, you'll select Submit at the bottom of the page. Please be sure to include, if for some reason 1 was not collected, a reason in 1.4. You'll then hit Submit in the bottom right-hand corner of the page. The third dose of study drug can be administered after collecting information on vital signs, safety labs, and the blood research sample collection. On this form, you will select whether the study treatment was administered, the date of administration, the start time and stop time. You'll need to select if the infusion was interrupted and the total amount infused. If an adverse event occurs during this study visit, please select the adverse event page here, and you'll select Add AE. You'll then need to complete the adverse event form and hit Submit at the bottom of the page. For further details on severity grade, question 6, you can scroll to the top and select the Help page. Here, the grades 1 through 5 are defined. Grades 1 through 5 are also defined further in the ATRIUM Manual of Operations. Please be sure that you entered the expected date of Visit 5, Dose 4, under the Visit 4 study visit previously shown. 2 days prior to your scheduled Visit 5, Dose 4 study visit, your study team will receive a reminder email of the date of Visit 5, Dose 4 scheduled for your study participant. After receiving this reminder email, please notify the rest of your study team, including your site PI and research pharmacy team, of the upcoming infusion 4 dose of study drug. You will then need to go to the page 8 within Visit 5, Dose 4, and confirm eligibility prior to the infusion of the Dose 4 study drug. Please complete the laboratory forms found on page 5 and any additional forms prior to infusion 4 under Visit 5. However, this question number 1 is mandatory and must be completed regardless if the other forms are completed prior to the infusion. After the study drug is administered, you will then select yes or no and fill out the following fields accordingly. This is a reminder that the 4th infusion of study drug is optional and at the discretion of your site PI. When your site receives the reminder email of the upcoming Visit 5 Dose 4 infusion, this would be a great time to address whether the participant is eligible for the Dose 4 infusion with your site PI. In the case that the site PI decides that the participant will not receive the 4th dose, Please be sure to complete the rest of the study visit requirements for Visit 5 in the following forms, pages 1 through 9 in eSOCDAT. The final page within Visit 4 is the study monitoring page. Here you'll report the adverse events and any medications of interest. You will also write the planned date for the next visit. The next visit is Visit 5, which occurs 28 days after the first infusion of study drug. Please be sure to schedule Visit 5 with your study participant during Visit 4. This study visit will most likely occur in the outpatient setting. For further instructions on scheduling your study participant's next visit, please refer to the ATRIUM Manual of Operations. Visit 5 occurs 28 plus or minus 2 days post first study drug infusion. Visit 5 includes an optional final dose of the study drug infusion. The optional dose will be determined by your site investigator. The first form within Visit 5 you've seen in the previous visits. It will ask whether the visit was performed, the date, and if the study treatment will be administered during this visit. Even if the study drug will not be administered during Visit 4 at the discretion of the site investigator, you will still need to complete the following requirements for this study visit. The second page within this visit is the vital sign page that you've seen in the previous visits. Here you will record the date performed, weight, blood pressure, respiratory rate, heart rate, temperature, oxygen saturation, and oxygen supplementation. Submit at the bottom of the page and move on onto this third page. During Visit 5, an ECG will be performed. You will select if the ECG was performed, the date it was performed, and then you will need to upload right here in this paperclip icon, the de-identified PDF. You will then hit Submit at the bottom of the page and move on to page 4. An echocardiogram must also be performed during Visit 5. Here you will select yes or no if the echocardiogram was performed. The echocardiogram is the only component of Visit 5 that has a 5-day window time frame in which you can schedule your subject for the echocardiogram if it cannot occur on the same day as the vitals, blood draw, and ECG. Once the echocardiogram is performed, you'll go into this form and select yes. You'll enter the date, the ejection fraction, and then you'll upload the de-identified DICOM images here where there's a paperclip icon. Please refer to the ATRIUM Manual of Operations for the ATRIUM echocardiogram protocol. Safety lab testing will also occur at Visit 5. You've seen this page in the previous visits where it asks if the safety lab blood tests were performed, the date and time of the blood sample collection. Then you will enter information on the white blood cell count, hemoglobin, neutrophil count, platelet count, liver function tests, and metabolic renal function parameters. Once this page is complete, hit Submit and move on to the Research Lab Sample Collection page. Here, all 4 research lab samples will be collected. Again, please refer to the ATRIUM Lab Manual and Manual of Operations for further details on these research samples. Once the samples are collected, your research coordinator should process the samples and store them until they are ready to be shipped. For more details on shipping the samples, please refer to the ATRIUM Lab Manual. Once this page is filled, hit Submit at the bottom of the page and move on to the 7th page within the study visit. You will answer yes or no if the tissue was obtained. If you answer yes, you will enter the date of tissue collection and if the tissue sample will be sent to the core lab. Please refer to the instructions in the ATRIUM Manual of Operations for further details on shipment of the sample. The 8th form within Visit 5 is information on study drug administration. If the subject is not required to receive dose 4 of the study drug, you can select No, and then a drop-down will appear for you to include the reason why the study drug was not administered. Once the form is complete, please press Submit. The final page within Visit 5 is Study Monitoring. Here you will include any AE reportings, medications of interest, and you will need to schedule the next study visit.